Do you have this nudge to do something big? And doing that big thing, it's like a nudge from the universe or from this internal gut. But it requires you to leave everything you currently know. It requires you to leave your comfort zone. And that's scary. If you are in that place, I really highly invite you to listen to this episode and apply some of the information I'm sharing with you and the questions I'm asking. Welcome to episode number 76 of the Create Your Vibrant Life podcast. And today's episode is titled, How to Thrive by Leaving Your Comfort Zone. Because thriving often requires us to leave our comfort zone. So, welcome. I'm so glad you are here. Hello, visionaries. Welcome to Create Your Vibrant Life podcast, where you can create the life you desire by tapping into your inner wisdom. I'm your host, Padma Ali. I'm widely known in the field of psychology to create long-lasting transformation. And now, I'm here to help you create the life you desire using a combination of neuropsychology and ancient healing practices. This podcast is for you, evolved, overachieving leader who's ready to unlock your highest potential. I'm here to guide you through a process of self-discovery to be the creator of your destiny. And you can do all of that by just taking aligned actions, tapping into the power of your brain, your inner wisdom, and ancient practices. So stay tuned, folks. I am so delighted you are here. Hello, visionaries. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode. If you are new to this podcast, welcome. And I invite you to go and listen from episode number 1. And because everything kind of builds on one another, they're not entirely related, at the same time they are. So I invite you to go listen from episode 1. And if you're already online, please leave a review, because if you have found these podcast episodes to be helpful and useful, chances are others will too. And this is our way of uplifting the planet, the vibration on the planet. So today's episode is all about comfort zone and what happens when you leave your comfort zone. When we leave our comfort zone, it is not that it's comfortable. It's not comfortable, but it will allow you to thrive. And why is that so? Has there ever been a time in your life where you've accomplished something really amazing and it required you to leave everything you knew? Maybe it was a promotion you got in your job, an opportunity that required you to move, or you found a beautiful home, but again, it required you to leave your neighborhood that you really loved. Or you have this nudge to start a business, and you've never done a business before, but you knew that you had to do it, and you did it. It required you to leave your comfort zone, didn't it? This is a quote by Neil Donald Walsh. Life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. Life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. It does, doesn't it? But why? I don't usually ask why questions, because in my training as a psychotherapist for so many years, I have learned that when you ask the why questions, we often get trapped or get defensive, or it's like a very short answer that doesn't often get us anywhere. And sometimes I do, and very deliberately. And this is one of those times. Have you ever wondered why we are so attached to comfort? Comfort is not like, oh my God, my bed is so comfortable, not that kind, but I'm talking about things that we know. I notice my children, they're young and they're so attached to their things. It's like the whole world crashes if my daughter doesn't have her dolly, that one specific doll in her bed when she goes to bed, when she goes to sleep. Right? There's like a reason, there's a biological reason why we are attached to the things we know, to comfort. Your conscious brain only knows what it knows. Meaning, if you have lived in a particular location all your life, say you've never traveled outside your little neighborhood, you've lived there, or your little city. If that's all you know, that's all you know. You don't know that a life exists outside that little city, right? The classic frog in the pond example, that story of a frog who lives in a pond and doesn't know that there's a life outside the pond. And then one day he comes out of the pond and he's like, oh my God, like there's this whole new universe that exists outside the pond. But we don't know, right? We don't know what we don't know. So we get attached to our things. And yet, in order to do anything in your life, it has to start by letting go. Not just letting go of things, but letting go of beliefs, letting go of emotions that are no longer serving you, letting go of stories, letting go of ego, letting go of yourself. I'm pausing there because this is how we get to higher grounds. It's not by just learning new things, because that will happen automatically. It's by shedding. It's by letting go of attachment. But we are very attached. As human beings, we get attached. Nothing wrong with attachment, but it keeps you trapped. This episode was inspired because I was kayaking with some friends, and these friends have young adult children, like in their 20 and 21, young kids. I mean, for me, they're kids. I'm 45 years old. And this young woman, she's like 20, I think, said something so profound. She said, as we were kayaking, it was a kind of like a very beautiful summer morning. The birds were chirping. It was really kind of earlier in the morning. The water was kind of still. It was just beautiful. And she said, in order to get to another place, you have to disturb the stillness of the water. Just take that in, guys. You have to disturb the stillness in order to get to another point. You have to disturb the peace. When we live in our comfort zone, we are very much in that stillness, in that peace, right? Even if your life is not working out the way you want it to go, it is still comfortable. You know it's familiar. You know what you have. And you might be reluctant to disturb that. But to get to anywhere you want to go, you have to disturb that peace. You have to disturb what you have in order to stir the pot up in order to get somewhere. Yeah, think about even cooking, right? If you don't stir the pot, if something is cooking, it's going to get burnt on the bottom. You have to stir things in order to get somewhere. And I'm pausing a lot because I'm really inviting you all to let this sink in, because I guarantee you that each one of you listening has something you know that's pushing you to higher grounds, and you're like, oh my God, this means I have to let go of A, B, and C, whether it's a belief, whether it's an emotion, whether it's a person, whether it's a job, whether it is security, you are having to let go of something. And it feels like a big deal because you don't know where you're going to land. And that is scary for most people. We're so attached to what we know. And have you ever considered that there might be something bigger and better waiting for you when you leave your comfort zone, when you leave what you know, when you leave the attachment, when you leave that belief? And it requires you to step into the unknown. You know, as if you have listened to any of my previous episodes, you know that I recently moved from the East Coast to the Southwest, and I had to step out of my comfort zone. I'm recording this long before I'm actually moving, so I'm still recording this in Boston, but I'm anticipating what it would be like to leave. Right? It's just a week away at this point. I do usually batch record, as you may already know that. And some of these episodes I've had to record earlier on because once I move, I don't know. And this is me planning some of the stuff. So again, even when you have to leave your comfort zone there, it does require planning, which I will talk about in a little bit. At the same time, what is the energy you're bringing in to leaving that comfort zone? Is it out of fear? Is it out of, are you feeling fearful? Are you feeling stressed? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Because guess what? You're going to be carrying all that energy into whatever you're going to be doing. So be very aware. Awareness is the key. So with this move, I've had to step out of my comfort zone. Now, I'm used to doing things like this. This is how I've lived my life. I've kind of done things, whatever has caught my fancy. I kind of go after what feels right to me. So stepping outside my comfort zone is not new to me. At the same time, every time I do it, it does bring up stuff. Especially now, I know I'm moving a whole family, right? It's my husband. It's not just me. It's my husband. It's my kids. And my kids are young. I'm still responsible for their well-being. And this moving, again, it's very intuitively driven. Please listen to that episode number 75, where I talk about my whole process of following intuition. And I invite you to follow your intuition. It has required me to really step into that knowing, because on the outside, there's no net that is yet appeared. For instance, I only have admission for one child at this point. And I have to figure out childcare. I have to figure out help. I'm also going to be navigating some of these things on my own till my husband wraps things up and meets us back there. So there's a lot of unknown that I'm stepping into. But guess what? This is going to be the biggest takeaway from this episode. This is one of the takeaways I want you to have. So please listen carefully. The place I lean into, and I invite you to lean into this too. If you don't have this, develop it, because this is going to serve you very much. Actually, you know what? You all have it. Each one of us has it. You just have to tap into it. You ready? It's the attitude of being resourceful. It's the identity of resourcefulness. I am going to figure it out. I know I can make it happen. That knowing that you can figure things out. And the reason I said each one of you has it is I invite you to think about this. Has there ever been a time in your life where you felt like, oh my God, I am stuck, but you have figured it out? If you're listening to this podcast, I am sure, I can guarantee you, there's no guarantees in life, but this one I can guarantee you have figured things out in your life, haven't you? Whatever that might be. That energy, that identity of resourcefulness is going to serve you. So that is your biggest takeaway. Write it in bold letters. Everything is figure-outable, like Marie Forleo says. I figure things out. I'm repeating that because repetition is how we learn. Please trust yourself. You know, I'm sure you've seen memes on Facebook and like on the internet about, you know, like where they have success pointing in one direction, comfort zone in the other. Lots of memes about comfort zone, like leaving your comfort zone, because that's how you thrive. And there's a lot of like, I'm sure you have seen it. And there's a reason it is there, because if you don't leave what you know, you will never get to higher grounds. And there are people who will never leave their comfort zone, and there's no judgment on that because that's the life they've chosen, and that's okay. I'm speaking to the people who want more in their life. But wanting more is just wanting it is not going to get you the results. You have to take actions. And again, like I said, the action might be letting go of a belief. It doesn't have to necessarily make a cross-country move like I'm doing. That may not be part of your plan, then that's okay. But letting go of beliefs that no longer serve you. Here's the other piece. You may have seen this in your own life and life of others. People they resist change. They resist it because change is not easy or comfortable. But when push comes to shove, we all have to experience change. Change is inevitable. Inevitable. Even if you're like, I'm just going to stay in my little city for the rest of my life, that's fine. But things might happen in your life. You may get injured. You may fall sick. Who knows? Like random stuff happens in life, right? Change is inevitable. And so what I've seen, and you may have seen this in your own life or others around you, when push comes to shove, and if you're pushed out of your comfort zone for whatever reason, things happen, we do make that move. We do the thing that we have resisted, but it's a tiny move. It's a tiny move. Because it's easy to make those tiny moves. And again, nothing wrong with that, but is that going to give you the results that you want? That's a question you have to ask for yourself. And again, what if you followed your intuition? Listen to that episode 75 on intuition. Because unless you trust yourself and take that leap, creating your life the way you want it may or may not happen in the way you want it to happen. You know, I was talking to my mom the other day, and she was so cute and funny. She's like, you know, you've always done this in your life. She said, you've always kind of done this. And I was like, what have I done? She and I have pretty candid conversations. She's like, you kind of just jumped and then expected the net to appear. And obviously, you know, she's known me all my life. And I'm like, I reflected back on what she was saying. And I was like, yeah, that is true. I've kind of just done that. I expect the net to appear. And the net has always appeared. Always. Not one time has there not been a net. The net may not look the way I want it to look, but it has appeared. And I'm extraordinarily grateful for that. Because it required me to trust the universe. And again, it doesn't mean that there are no fears or there are no discomforts or I don't have feelings when I make these ginormous leaps, because that's what I've done. And I'm sure you have done that too. Think about every single event in your life that has been life-changing or that has changed the trajectory of your life. Even if you just got married, right? If you have an amazing relationship, think about that. You trusted. You trusted your intuition to trust that, okay, this is my life partner. It doesn't even mean you need to be married. I don't care about marriage as an institution, whatever, right? It's more, maybe it's a partnership. You trusted somebody. You followed that intuition. You did step outside your comfort zone of being in a relationship. It is outside your comfort zone. Think about it. So like I said, when you make these leaps, it doesn't mean that it will be devoid of fears or doubts or discomfort or any kind of feelings. It comes up. But you know what? I have learned to dismiss those. I don't give them even a tiny bit, a sliver of my time anymore. I'm like, thank you. I appreciate you trying to protect me because it's just the reptilian brain talking. It just wants to protect you. And I'm like, yeah, I hear you. We're not going down that path. No, thank you. And then I move on to whatever I'm doing. I literally talk to my reptilian brain like this, by the way. And it works. Try it out. Like this morning, right? Oh, goodness. So I'm in the throes of packing. It's like 10 days away. And at this point, I'm like, I was doing something. And then I was overcome with emotions of gratitude and a little sadness because this is my home. I've put my sweat and blood into this. This is a beautiful home. I love my home. And my baby was born here. My second was born here. Not only that, we did a lot of remodeling. This house is beautiful. We just did our yard and I planted 30 trees just in the fall. So this summer was the first summer I was going to enjoy my yard. We didn't have any plans of moving. So I thought I was going to stay here for a while at least. But, life has different plans or no, I've chosen different plans for my life. So I am sad, but I'm okay with, again, another lesson in letting go of attachment. We have memories here. Another family is going to move in here and make new memories. Great, right? So I'm not attached. I've learned to say, okay, I acknowledge my feelings and then let them go. Hey, our kitchen, we put so much work into this. I love my kitchen. But it's okay. It's okay. We'll find another place. This is what I mean. I'm not sharing all of this because I want you to know what's happening in my life. I want you to apply this to your own life. How can you apply this to your life? Where in your life do you need to let go of attachment in order to create something bigger? Because I know this move is going to be amazing for our family, for me, for my evolution. It's a knowing. And so I'm stepping into something bigger. But that means letting go, right? And it's also letting go of familiarity. For the last 11 years, we've lived in the Boston area. This is where both my children were born. This is where we moved from California with our dog who passed away. And there's a lot of memories here. And it's okay. It's okay, right? This is part of evolution. It's asking for you to let go of attachment. Comfort zone means letting go of attachment. And if I don't leave my comfort zone, nothing will change, will it? And that's my invitation to you. What in your life do you need to let go of in order to step into the bigger and better version of you? And like I say to my clients, you need to make a smart move, a well thought out move. You can't just do what I did or do because my life is different than yours. You have to find out what's best for you. I have a client who is very successful in his job, and he wanted to start a business, but his family is relying on his income. In those cases, he can't just get up and uproot and just say, all right, I quit everything and I'm going to go start my business without a plan. It doesn't work that way. What would happen, what will what could happen, not will, what could happen is that the reptilian brain will take over and become survival focused and become all about making money. And when you're focusing on making money in a business, business takes time to build up. It's just going to become harder to reach those goals. But instead, if you have a well thought out plan to execute that, for some people, that's much better. You have to, otherwise it'll just create a lot more stress, and you have to make a well thought out decision. The bottom line is nothing changes if nothing changes, right? If you change nothing, nothing will change. So what is a small change that you can start with? Yes, I'm contradicting myself by saying small change, whereas in the beginning of the episode, I was talking about making an epic change, right? Or changing something big so that you can create bigger things in life. But nothing is cookie cutter. What works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for someone else. So you have to find your own path. I'm giving you a multitude of examples so that you can pick and choose what works for you and try it out. Try it out. Here's the piece. You may already realize this, but people are resistant or hesitant to leave their comfort zone because they don't know what is on the other side. What they have is familiar. Even relationships that suck, right? You're in a sucky relationship, or you know what? It's okay. There are moments of it that's good, but mostly you're not fulfilled. But letting go of the relationship means a big change. And for a lot of people, they're not ready for that because it's unfamiliar. But what happens when you use courage and take that tiny step towards even acknowledging, you know what, this is not working for me. What do I need to do? And trust me, it's going to be messy. And that's okay. Right? That's okay. Even though I'm talking about this move, for instance, as something that I just decided and just did, it's taken a couple of months of working constantly to let go, purge stuff. And there's been planning. I've been looking for schools. I've been looking for where to stay. So it's not like there's no plan at all. I'm just going to land there. So I'm landing in Mars with nothing in my hand. That's not the case. Everything does require a certain amount of planning, but it's that letting go of attachment even to those plans and trusting. So if you are, for instance, in a relationship that's not working for you, where can you start? Maybe it's about acknowledging, you know what, this is not working. And the next step might be having a conversation with your partner saying, hey, this is not working for me. This is what I want. Then taking it from there. Taking courageous, bold steps towards the life you want. Because only you can do it. And that is going to require you to leave your comfort zone. So, as we wrap up this episode, tell me, what are you taking away from this? Are you taking away the belief of, I can figure things out? Are you taking away wanting to be more courageous? Not just wanting, being more courageous in your life? Trusting and knowing that when you take steps towards your desired life, the universe will work with you to create that with you, co-create it with you? Start to explore. And are you discovering at this point that in order to create your life the way you desire, you have to let go of the comfort zone that you're sitting in? It may not, and I cannot say it is not, it may not be easy, but on the other side is the life you want. So it's up to you. What choice will you make? And with that, this episode comes to an end. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful. Please share this with your friends and family because if you found it helpful, they will too. I'm so grateful for you, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. I have a request for you. If you found value, chances are that your friends and family will too. So if you can leave a positive review on iTunes, it will help reach so many more people. And if you have any topics or questions you would like me to feature, please send them to support@padmaali.com. And lastly, please share your takeaways and breakthroughs with me on Instagram @Padma Ali. Thank you so much for tuning in.